Hello guys, I have seen a video making round about people who try to invalidate the Bible, but there is someone that I know who happens to be my comrade who explained a concept really well. And I admire how confidently he did it, but I want to talk about something because many people misunderstood the Bible. They think it should be taken literally. And that leads to a lot of misquotes by regular folks and even religious leaders, theologians. Some people use the misunderstanding to trick others. I want to share what these Bible passages really means. The Bible passage, especially the ones used by my comrade that spoke eloquently about it. Now I want him to understand that in the book of Exodus 20, when you talk about God dealing with even to the third generation for the sins of their father, I want you to understand what it simply means. That Bible verse, actually, it talks about reincarnation. Reincarnation is real. Bible also, you will understand that it talks about reincarnation. So if God punishes you for your parents' mistakes, it suggests a connection between you and them, and the chance that you might repeat their errors. It's like saying the apple does not fall far from the tree. Now let's go to Ezekiel, which he also talked about, which you also mentioned, but maybe didn't understand fully. It actually supports what is said in the book of Exodus, right? Because verse 13 and 14 in Ezekiel 18 echoes the idea in the Exodus 20 verse 5, showing how continuing your father's bad choices could lead to similar consequences. Just like it's warned in Exodus about punishment reaching for generation of those who go against God's teaching, because it is actually so specific. He said that he will visit the third and fourth generation of those who hate God, So when it talks about the book of Ezekiel, where everybody is going to pay for their sins, it is not contradictory to the Bible or to the Exodus. It talks about those who hate him are going to actually be punished. If you are a child of your father and you started being exposed to the knowledge of the truth, not to follow the sinful step of your father, it means that you are not going to pay for the crime of your father. Those who are going to pay for the crime of their father are those who follow the footstep of their father. So when God talks about dealing with you for the sake of the sins of your father, it means that there is likelihood that you continue from where your father stopped. Just like we were initiated in Sunday schools, they taught us actually many things in the Bible, which they decontextualize it, which they don't understand the chronology, just like our theologians and the pastors. They decontextualize the Bible, don't understand the chronology. The same thing this young man is doing right now, trying to judge the Bible because of different chronologies, because of different events, and he does not understand how to put it together. And you should understand that Bible was not written by one man or one person. Bible was written by a lot of people. Those people were our ancestors during the time they were settling in Egypt. So now Bible is about a culture and the history of a particular people, which actually recorded about the history of other nations. So when you think about apple does not fall far from the tree, so it means there is likelihood that you are going to repeat the mistakes of your father, because your father taught you everything you need to know. Your parents taught you everything you need to know, because when it talks about father, it talks about also the generation of the mother, because Bible is all about patriarchy. Bible is patriarchal. It doesn't talk much about mothers. So when it refers to father, it also talks about mother. So now, if your mother teaches you something wrongly from the childhood, when you grow up knowing it, no, it is difficult for somebody to convince you otherwise. So that is the reason why everything we have learned from our Sunday school, from Christian gatherings, it is now being contradictory to what we know. By now, we are able to actually contextualize Bible and understand the chronology and the event when, the event, a particular event. So now I want to, make the young man to understand that you cannot read Bible in silos or in parallel. Bible, you must read it precept upon the precept in order to understand the figuratives that are written there. Even though translation has dealt with the Bible, that made it look like it is a good night story for children. Now let me also touch on this, what my comrade brought up about 2 Samuel 24, where David sinned against God and God punished the Israelites instead of punishing David directly. This passage suggests that the decision made by nation's leader can have a widespread impact on the entire nation, just like we see happening today in Nigeria and many other nations, as well as in the decision made by groups like Hamas, which affect Palestinians. The challenge for the Bible readers is the difficulty in understanding the context of what they read. Or what they read rather. I want you to know and understand that if you cannot put a Bible in its context, or understand the chronology, or understand the event holistically, there is no way you will understand the Bible. We're going to go deep into it this evening if we are allowed to go to TikTok Live. But I want you also to understand, when you talk about God destroyed and killed every animals in Egypt as a plague to sanction Egypt over disobeying the commandment and the rule of God for letting Israelites go and setting Israelite free. I want you to understand, yes, it is true, but it is actually, logical. It is something simple. Let me give you an example. After 1967 to 1970 war, more than 3.5 million women and children of our people died. But today, we are more than 60 million Biafrans fighting for the survival of Biafra and fighting to resuscitate the state of Biafra. Now, I want you to actually compare my, analogy to what you said, your claim that God destroyed every Egyptian's animals, and both their horse and their chariot and their farm animals. How come they were able to have all these things that are pulling their chariot, chasing after the Israelites when they were departing the land of Egypt? I want to give you an example. Do you know that if there is a plague that destroys Nigeria today, or destroy every animals in Nigeria today, Nigeria can easily start importing animals. And that is now where the chronology becomes essential in your reading of the Bible and the contextualizing the Bible. So if God destroyed the chariot, everything that is animal in Egypt, so Egyptians have the abilities to import animals and now bring them up. That means that the time that God destroyed the animals and the time that the Egyptians were chasing after the Israelites were not, the same time. It never happened in silos. This thing happened years. So we are fighting for Biafra restoration. We fought it in 1967. We are fighting it again after 50 years. After more than 50 years, we are in it again. Have you seen that the quest for freedom, the quest for independence is not something that happens immediately? You might fight and fail today. Tomorrow you will achieve it. So that's exactly what transpired in the book of Deuteronomy, in the book of I believe in the book of Ezekiel 18. And when you talk about David's sin, the decision your president makes affect the whole nation. That is exactly what the Bible part talks about. But this evening we are going to read it so that you will understand it better. But apologies for using this image. That's the only one I can get for now. But until we meet this evening, share the video.